So here's where we're going next. We're going to be formally closing our 3 days together. I know, sad, but we don't want to keep you on Zoom forever. And so, number one, we heard from our young speakers about climate justice over the last 3 days. We heard to note that we have an interpreter speaking into the English channel. So we learned how the young generation can access climate justice, and we heard stories of how youth are being represented in climate change negotiations. Now, to formally close our event today, we have Mr. CJ from South Korea. We have Ms. Isabelle Louis, the Deputy Regional Director of the UN Environment Program, the Regional Office for Asia and the Pacific with us. And we have His Excellency Mr. Jan Ostrom Brandal from the Swedish Embassy in Thailand, and finally Mr. Kafi from Indonesia. But I'm going to start with CJ, and CJ is a 6th grader at Daegu International School who has a great interest in climate change, and she has enjoyed studying topics about climate, such as climate justice and global warming. He enjoys twiddling with music, he says, and playing different instruments. However, he mostly likes to learn about different topics around climate. So, Mr. CJ, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello everyone, my name is CJ in 6th grade from South Korea, and I attend Daegu International School. I'm grateful to the UN, Save the Children, and other non-government organizations for giving me this opportunity. First, let me redefine climate justice. To fully fathom the meaning of climate justice, we should look at each word carefully. The dictionary definition of climate states that it is a region with particular prevailing weather conditions. The definition of justice is just behavior or treatments. Then, climate justice should be a region with particular prevailing weather conditions that should carry just behavior or treatments. I disagree with this combination of definitions that make up climate justice. I believe that climate justice acknowledges how climate change affects different groups of people at different times and places. Climate justice generates a sort of responsibility and guilt in some people so that they realize what they could have done and what they have done already. It acknowledges the people who are excessively affected by the problem of climate change. Over the past few days, I learned that climate justice is a big problem for youth and adults alike. But most adults seem to have a small interest in this issue because they have lived longer, and with this generation being of new high-tech gadgets and items, believe this to be something that could revolutionize everything, so they are holding firm to that idea, still stuck in the past. However, children know that this is a real problem that both adults and youth alike face, and are trying to prevent this from expanding any further. It seems to be that climate change affects everyone on Earth, even if they don't realize it. People my age should tell everybody they know about this topic and to make a stand for it. We should stop procrastinating and share our opinions and beliefs about climate justice. We children should also try our best to promote and advocate for climate justice using different ways, such as posting stories on social media, advertising on different websites, etc. We are the ones being heavily influenced and affected by these climate changes, so we should be the ones talking about it. Adults should listen to children about their thoughts on climate justice and climate change. They should pay attention to what the youth have to say. As the adults live on in this generation, the children in the generations that are to come should be able to live in the same type of environment, being safe and environmentally friendly, because we all share Mother Earth. We should all be able to have no changes in the climate and let future generations live as we live in comfort and not worry about climate. Summing it all up, the definition of climate justice is recognizing how climate change changes the lives of different people, young and old alike. Climate change is a big problem that everyone faces. It affects each person even if they don't know it. We as children should be able to take a stand and say what we think about climate change. We should be able to talk about climate justice freely to everyone around us. Adults should listen to children and what they have to say about climate justice. Thank you again for letting me share my thoughts about climate justice today. My hope for future generations, including people my age, is to not have to worry about climate justice and climate change. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. CJ. And now let's hear from Ms. Isabel Luis, the Deputy Regional Director of UNEP Asia and the Pacific. As the Acting Regional Director and Representative for Asia and the Pacific for the UN Environment, Ms. Isabel Luis has more than 25 years of global, regional, and national experience in sustainable development and natural resources management, as well as in organization operations, program management, and multidisciplinary, multicultural term management. And let's have a look at the video.
His Excellency Mr. John Ostrom Gondal, the Ambassador of Sweden to Thailand, Ms. Chan Jun, representative from South Korea, distinguished children and young people, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to provide closing remarks on behalf of UNEP for the Asia Regional Dialogue on Climate Justice for Children, Youth, and Future Generations. This important event associated with Stockholm Plus 50 has provided space in the Asia region for children and youth to discuss climate and environmental advocacy strategies, to learn more from their peers about climate justice, to share their experiences and solutions, and explain perspectives and needs to older adults. We, older individuals, thank you for your commitment, contribution, and enthusiasm. We thank you for sharing and compelling greater action. It is vital that we work together hand in hand, children, youth, and adults, to find adequate and rights-based solutions to the climate crisis. It is only in this way that we can seek to address injustices that exist in the context of environmental degradation and climate change. It gives me great pleasure to thank all our partners once again: UN Human Rights, UNICEF, UNDP, Child Rights Coalition Asia, Save the Children, the Radio Munich, Germany, Asia Pacific Network of Environmental Defenders, and the Center for Environmental Concerns, UNEP Major Group of Children and Youth, and Youth Empowerment in Climate Action Platform. Let me again express my deep appreciation to the children and youth who are taking steps to call for climate justice and working in your communities with other young people to effect change. You are inspiring, and through your example, we can all work towards a sustainable and resilient future. Thank you.
For the next speaker, I would like to introduce His Excellency Mr. John Ostrom Grundal. He is the Swedish Ambassador to Thailand. Prior to him taking the office last September 2020, he was the head of the Foreign Ministry Counselors and the Civil Law. Thank you.
Now I'm unmuted. Great. Let me just. So, good afternoon, everyone, from Bangkok. Wonderful to be here. And let me also say that I'm truly honored and glad for this opportunity to deliver some closing remarks. You are also, and very much so, the present generation. And that is why it is so important to listen to you. And I have had the privilege of today